Okay, we're going to start with an example. I want you to tell me about Ramon. Okay, whichever. Just tell me about Ramon. Laughing, joking, a regular what? A normal person? Oh, that's an insult. I don't know. He's not. All right. Now I want you to tell me about Ramon. What does he like? What's his purpose in life? What does he seek to accomplish? What's his priorities? What does he wish to attain? See what I'm saying? But you see, like she can tell. Could you tell me those things? No, because that's not what she knows. Now I go around the room and have every one of you describe Ramon, but you're not going to tell me anything what's going on inside his heart, his soul, or his mind. Yes or no? You can't, unless he himself what reveals it. Is that making sense? All right. So now, if we go around and we ask, now next to you is a person, right? You should have a person, right? All right. So I want you to talk, and I want you to try and describe. I want you to tell. How do you say this? I want you to describe yourself to the person next to you, right? You describe yourself to Alma. You describe yourself to him, right? You the two of you, got it? One of you take turns. You just take turns, right? Describe yourself to the other person, and then you describe yourself to the other person, right? And then the same here, you two here, and you two, okay? Describe you. No, that one. You already got that covered. Okay. You two here, right? And then you two, right? Describe yourself. Everything. Describe yourself about yourself to the other individual, so that they understand and know you. All right. Okay. Ready? Go. Now, isn't it fascinating that people love to talk about themselves? They just do. We could last a long time, but what I want you to understand is it what everybody else would have told you? No. The only way to find out about somebody is to talk to them one to one. How many just learned about something you didn't know anything about that person? Right? You just learned about it. Didn't even know. You see how that works? So if you want to know, you talk to the person personally. You run around and ask everybody, well, what do you think? What do you think about that person? They're not going to understand. The only one that understands you is you. And you can express yourself better than anyone can about you. Yes or no? Isn't this cool? All right. So when you run around and you ask everybody about God, how many different things you're going to get? Why not go to God and have him explain? It's written down. It's not like it's hard to find. So let's examine something here. So God's going to talk about himself. Well, where does one go to learn about God? And what everybody does is they run around and ask everybody else, well, what do you think? What do you think? I don't care it doesn't matter what I think. Because what does the what? The word say. And I'm not going to let anybody else's perception interfere with what the word says. Right? So I want to go to God. So one obvious answer would be to examine his word. Duh, right? Common sense. I'm not going to go into the Hebrew, the Koine. That's just overcomplicates things. It's really quite simple. So we're going to begin with God defines himself from his own word. Does that sound cool? Just like you defined yourself to the other individual yourself. Yes or no? People will say, well, I know what that person wants. No, you don't. I know what that person likes. No, you don't. I know what that person is trying to do. No, you don't. You cannot know a person's heart unless they reveal it to you. And you're very, very special if someone would reveal their heart to you. Because people usually are guarded. Does that make sense? All right. Jeremiah 23:24. Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him? Whoa. I thought God didn't have eyes. God perceives, he knows. Said the Lord, do not I fill heaven and earth? That's a big God. That is a very big God. Fills all heaven and earth. Is that big? That's very big. 1 Kings 8:27. But will the God indeed dwell on earth? Behold, the heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I built? 2 Chronicles 2:6. But who is able to build him a house, seeing that the heaven and heaven of heavens, now we got heaven, heaven of heavens, and that's plural, cannot contain him. Cannot contain him. Who am I then that I should build him a house? You know, talking about a temple. Now, we use these terms, heaven, heavens, heaven of heavens. What are we talking about? What does that mean when the Bible says these words? You ever wonder about that? Yeah. Right. So the next consideration is to define what is heaven and heaven of heavens that God fills and is bigger than. Bigger than, right? So when we see this, Genesis 1:14 through 17, we got to first find out what is heaven, right? If I ask you what's heaven, it's where, well, it's right here with us, and that ghosty people are there going, I'm watching you, you know. No. It's not what the Bible says, right? God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven. So there it is. The firmament means expanse. To divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so when God made two great lights. The greater light to rule the day, which is called the what? The sun. And the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the what? So that's when people say, all right, you ready? I'm going to jump into heaven. I was there for 2 seconds. Everything above the what? The earth. Got it? That's all heaven is. Nothing more, nothing less. So, when we look at heaven, the firmament or its expanse is what consists of the sun, moon, and stars. That's the heaven. You got the clouds, you got the moon, you got the sun. That's the heaven. So between here, our moon, and the sun, so basically everything we see from this point up, right? Now, what's the next one? Heaven is directly above us. Good idea. That's very good. Now we have the next word, which is heavens. Now, heavens is that distance to the furthest star detected by man. The furthest star you can see, everything between there. That includes our whole, that's the galaxy, by the way. We're seeing it from an angle, right? That's our galaxy. We're looking into the center of the galaxy, which is located in what's called Sagittarius. So if you look and you'll see this big thing, we're on this tilted spiral, and that's what you're looking at, tilted spiral. That is this going toward the center of our galaxy. Isn't that cool? All right, so everything from here, to the furthest star you could see, which might be that one right there. Whatever. All right, that from there to there, that is the heavens. That's all of it. Can you say all of it? All of it, right? How much of it? All of it, right? That you can possibly see, that any man can see. All right, now what's the heaven of heavens? The heaven of heavens is that distance from the furthest star that you could see and beyond, which our Hubble telescope has showed us. Deep field. So even though we see nothing there but blackness, the Hubble telescope zoomed in and said a whole bunch more galaxies. This is huge. So that's why the Bible refers to three. There's the heavens, and heaven of heavens. Got it? Which means that which is beyond, and then beyond that, and then beyond that. Now you know. And God fills all of it. God fills all of it. Now, this is really intense. That's a big space. That's a big space. So he fills all of this, and what? Beyond. You got a big God. Where's his nose at? Where's his hands at? Where's his face at? He don't have a face. He does not have a face. Well, he obviously has to have a beard, right? No beard. I have one, but God don't have one. You understand? That's pretty intense. And that's the God of the Bible. Now, is there more? Yes. God fills all the expanse of the heavens and beyond. Now, let me ask you a question. You all talked about yourself, right? How many are experts? You're experts in one person, yourself. Yes or no? Right? So, do you control everything on the inside? You control what goes in, you control what goes out, right? To a degree. Yes? All right. See, the question is, where are you in your body? Well, I'm in my body, right? Well, are you only in your body, or are you also extended beyond your body? Like, I not only am in here, but I also express myself outward. I choose how I want the house decorated. I position things the way I want to. I dress myself the way I want to. No one dresses me. I dress myself. I'm a big boy now, right? So I eat. I do what I control. Not only what is in me, but also what is what outside of me. Right? Got it? So do you control everything that's inside and what? Out. Not only are you in this tabernacle, you are also expressing yourself what? Out. To where you even impact other people. Right? And sometimes two people, especially if they're living together, will impact each other. And depending on the situation, one will impact themselves over the other person, right? Or vice versa. Or they'll, right? And you see them extending it out. So you control how you dress, you control how you look, you control things around you. So not only are you in here, but you're also what? Out. So God fills all heaven and earth, and what? Beyond. I have no idea what's beyond. God doesn't tell us, I don't know. And I can't see that far. Neither can anyone else. But that's pretty intense. I want you to think about that. Because what did God say? Make man, and God made man in his own what? Image. What part of you did God make in his own image? And this is what God said. He made man in his own what? Image. What are we talking about? What part of you actually mimics God? When you think of perfect, when you say the word perfect, you think of who? God. You think of perfect as being God. Now, this creates no end of confusion because when people teach about God, they have an image of what God is, and Whatever that form is what is perfect. You understand the problem? So now people will strive to have that perfect form. And then we have this is perfect and this is not perfect. Do you understand the problem? Because when we deal with when we're talking about what God is, deep down inside from childhood, we've been told that God looks like this. Therefore, that's perfect. And because I don't look like that, I'm not perfect. I'm less than perfect. I'm worse because I look just the opposite. You see how bad this is? It causes no end of justification to suppress, to hurt, to damage, to kill those of lesser appearance from what a person's concept of what God is. So the characteristic flaw of humanity is self-referencing. Whoever's teaching what God is, see, God looks like me, so therefore I'm superior. That kind of bullshit has caused no end of hell on humanity since the beginning. This is why atheists say the belief of God is the deadliest thing there is. And that's not true. It's the lies that people are teaching for God that is that which is the most evil of mankind. It's not a teaching of God. It's a teaching of ritual, religions, false doctrines compared to the Word of God. But no one's teaching the Word of God. The only ones that know the Word of God are you. And why don't people know about it? Because we don't want to tell anybody, because we don't want to offend them. So we're going to allow them to stay ignorant. We're going to allow them to stay not knowing, not understanding, so they can continue in their error, continue being ignorant, continue being evil. You see the problem? So what's the perfect form? What makes something beautiful? It depends on how close it resembles a person's concept of God. But now, when we look at it from the Word of God's point of view, God has no physical what? Appearance whatsoever. None. So it's not judging people on their outward appearance, whether they're too tall or too short, too skinny, too fat. It has nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter about anything about their appearance. It has everything to do with their what? Their heart, their soul, their mind. Because that's all God sees to begin with. But we don't judge people by that. We judge by the outward appearance because that's what we have as an image of God. And that is false and it is evil to the highest extent. It is the cause of all the greatest evil in mankind. Is that making sense? But why don't people know about this? Because nobody knows the Word. They don't read it. They don't study it. They don't find out what it is. So, as a result, the characteristic flaw of humanity is self-referencing. This bias is the pillar of many great evils in the last century. Can you think of all the evils, the genocides, the suppressions, the absolute massacre of people? Because they are inferior, because God looks like me, and they are inferior, so we can get rid of them. You see the problem? But when we're dealing with a God who has no physical appearance whatsoever, that blows that to smithereens. With this knowledge, you hold the ability to quelch evil. You do. By making people aware of the truth. Many great evils in the last century in relation to superior race. What's the superior race? There isn't one. Because God isn't a race. God is not a physical being. You understand? So how can he be superior? How can any physical representation be superior? It can't. Correct diet. This is what God eats. So therefore that's perfect. No, that's bullshit. You understand the problem? So that's what's right to eat. No. I remember when I was in Asia, I took people out to sample the good old American pizza, right? I took all the people out, all the people I met and knew and that was teaching. I said, I'm going to teach you something real special. Treat you to a good old American pizza. Because it was a pizza store and they never had pizza. So I bought it for them, and they're eating it. Within 2 hours, they were all in the hospital. Lactose intolerant. Did I feel like crap? But I thought because I liked it, they would have to like it. It was good for me, therefore it must be good for them. No, no, no. Correct diet. How about beauty? If it looks this way, because that's what God looks, then therefore that's what's beautiful. Have you ever met someone who is beautiful, who's dumber than a bucket of rocks, and you can't stand to be around them? Have you met someone who doesn't fit the standard of beauty and just want to spend all your time with them? Has nothing to do with what the world says is standard. God only looks at the what? The heart. How about correct physical form? You've got to have that perfect form. Bullshit. What's a perfect form? Oh yeah, I have to have the beard, right?
Can't argue with that.
Now, if you're a female, we got problems. But anyway, but you see, this is all absurd. It's all ridiculous because God has no form. Zero. There's nothing to see. You're looking from the inside what? Out. We're looking at God from the inside what? Out. And God looks at us from the what? Inside out. Arguments are ignited by the concept that a personal perception is correct. I'm right. Okay. Even though the facts contradict it. When this happens, what's that called? This bias can develop into a psychological state of cognitive dissonance. Even though it's true, their perception is right no matter what is the outside. And that's a psychological handicap. It's a psychological problem. What's it called? Cognizant dissonance. That means their mind will not, it's out of sync with reality. Obviously, God, who fills all heaven and earth, cannot, I should have underlined that, cannot have a physical what? Body. Yes or no? This making sense? So what's the perfect form? There isn't any. What's the perfect beauty? There isn't any. If you're looking at the heart and soul and mind, that's totally different. You shared a little bit about yourself to each other. Maybe you didn't share any at all. I don't know. But you understand, you revealed that which was inside, what? Out. Is this are you impressed with? Isn't this cool? Now you know why all the evil has happened. Because of lack of knowledge. Wouldn't it be funny if that which the world says is ugly, God says is the most beautiful? Because of the heart. How much does your heart, your soul, your mind align with God's heart, His soul, His orientation, His priorities? You don't spend time with anybody who doesn't have the same heart and soul and mind as you do. What about God? Obviously, God, who fills all heaven and earth, cannot have a physical body. Is that a, give me a duh. Duh. Give me a duh. Duh. All right. Then what is God? All right. Now, in John 4:24, Jesus says God is pneuma, right? And that's ruach in the Hebrew. But I don't want to go there. I mean, we can go there, but we don't have a lot of time. God is pneuma, and they that worship Him must worship Him in pneuma and in truth. Aletheia. Wow, there's so much to this. But nonetheless. Now we look at Luke 24:39, when Jesus gets up from the dead, right? And they're looking at, you can't be alive. He is alive. You can't be alive. He goes, okay, behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me, and see, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones, as you see me have. You see that? So if it has physical, God has no physical body, has no bones, no flesh. God fills all heaven and what? Earth. There is no standard. And Jesus is not God. And you say, well, Jesus looked this way, therefore that's a symbol of perfection. No. No. Nobody knows what he looks like. No one photographed him. He's Semitic, yes. But is Semitic perfect? You see what I'm saying? There's no such thing as that. Because Judas was of a similar tribe. And he wasn't perfect. So it has nothing to do with what's on the outside. It has everything to do with what's on the what? The inside. Thomas who denied him, and frickin' Judas who turned him. You understand? All of this has nothing to do with race. Nothing to do with appearance. I could say right now that of all the people on earth, those who have God's thoughts, God's images, that's what's important. That is what is beautiful. Not the what? Outside. So, what do we got? Well, there's how many of you, if you have someone who is dead, there is, what is there? Everything that's been there before is still there. There's something missing, right? Either if they're dead, there's something missing. Everything's there, but there's no what? No thoughts, no images, no consciousness. There's nothing there. Got it? So it's not what's the physical form, it's what's happening, right? It's the heart, the soul, and mind. If it's perished, then the body, I don't care, it's gone. It's just there. You understand? You've got to grasp this. The key between living and dead is that there is consciousness, thinking going on. I know I appear dead sometimes, but that's beside the point. That was a joke. Curse you laughter? Okay. But just because when you have something that's dead, it does not think. There's no response. Even though everything is still there, the living aspect is what brings it into being. Is that making sense? Got it? Okay. So what is God? He defines himself as a living God, filling all heaven and earth. Whoa! Your brain goes, what? How can God be living if he fills all heaven and earth? But that's how he defines himself. What are we talking about? Thoughts, images, priorities, focus. You understand? Deuteronomy 5:26. For who is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living God, speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? Joshua 3:10a. And Joshua said, whereby ye shall know that the living God is among you. Where is he? I want to see him. You can't see him. There's nothing to see. 1 Samuel 17:36. Thy servant slew both, this is David speaking. That's the account of David. Thy servant slew the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the what? The living God. Living, thoughts, images, focus. These are all what makes living. Psalms 84:2. My soul longeth, yea, even fainteth for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh crieth out for the what? The living God. That means there's thoughts, there's images, there's focus, there's concepts. These are all value systems. This is what makes someone alive. Otherwise, there's nothing there. Got it? Even though the substance is there, the whole key of being alive is thoughts, images, focus. You understand what I'm saying? That operation of the brain. Jeremiah 10:10. But the Lord is the true God. He is the what? Living. He's alive. When Jesus was dead, why was he dead? There was no thinking, there was no thought processes, Nothing was going on. The body was, everything that makes the body is there, but there was nothing going on. Is that making sense? And when he, after 3 days and 3 nights, God raised him what? Back to life with a new body. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God. Thoughts, processes, value systems, operations, projection of the future, responding to situations. This is all part of what God is. An everlasting King. His wrath the earth shall tremble, and nations shall not be able to abide his indignation. Jeremiah 23:36. And the burden of the Lord shall ye mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. Whatever we say with our mouth and believe in our heart, that's what we're going to be held accountable for. Does it line up with God or not? For ye have perverted the words of the living God. That's what they did wrong. Well, God loved Israel. God's a loving God. Well, then why the hell did he put Israel through all that kind of hell? It's not Israel, not God. They remained what? Ignorant. They didn't want to learn. They didn't want to understand. They didn't want to grow with God. They wanted to be independent. And to get the consequences? Yes. If your child runs away from home and you don't know where they went, and bad things happen to them, whose fault is it? Daniel 6:20. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamented voice unto Daniel. And the king spoke and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God. God's thoughts, his processing, his imagery, his perception of reality. All these things are in operation all the time with God. Are we on board with him or did we leave? That's the question. Not whether we look like him or not. No, that's not how it works. And spoke to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the what? Living God. So if you're going to have a God, it better be the God of Abraham, the God of Daniel, the God of Jesus, the God of Paul. Otherwise, you've got a strange God that God does not know or recognize. Was he able to deliver thee from the lion's den? Sure, that was a piece of cake. And you'll be able to do the same. But you got to see God as he says he is, not as you think or what society declares. Does that make sense? Daniel 6:26, I make a decree. This is what, after he saw the lions not being able to do anything to him, and yet he tested it out by throwing all the people that accused Daniel in there and see what happens. Oh, wow. All right. So I make a decree that every dominion of my kingdom, men shall tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the what? Living God. And steadfast forever. And his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed. And his dominion shall even be unto the end. That's the side I want to be on. Does that make sense? Do you blame me? Matthew 16:16. And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the what? Now, if your God's not living, that has his own, that fills all heaven and earth, and has thinking, processing, valuing, perceiving, aware, then you got the wrong God. Because it's not what Jesus teaches, it's not what Paul teaches, it's not what anything in the Old Testament lines up with. Does that make sense? Do you understand? If a person has a vision of God having a face, a beard, a body, then they've got the wrong what? They got the wrong God. But if your God is the one that fills all heaven and earth and thinks and is thinking and is moving to fulfill his will. Is that making sense? Everybody's whole body, right? You ever sit down somewhere and then try and get up and your leg disobeys you? I thought you were in control of your leg. It just doesn't want to move. You ever have that happen? What's going on? Why is your leg disobedient to you? If you find a part of your body that disagrees with you In fact, it's operating contrary to you. What do? Remove those cells. Well, that's part of you. I'm sorry, it's endangering the rest of my what? So when it comes to God, and anything that does not align with God, what do you think is going to happen to it? If you found out you had cancer, what would you do? Oh, that's part of me. I got to protect that. I think not. Romans 9:26. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be called the children of the what? That's where I am. My ancestry was never considered godly. 2 Corinthians 3:3. For as much as you are manifestly cared to be the epistle of Christ, ministered to by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the what? That's awesome. And I have been amazed by some people I would never expect it to be sharp. And they come out and say things that just blow me away. Them like, whoa, yep, God's in them, that's for sure. But everybody would think, oh, they're not so smart. No. Spend some time with them, listen to what comes out of their mouth. And I have been amazed. All of you have blown me away at one time or another. Is God in you? Yes. He fills all heaven and earth and is in you. Just like Daniel, like Joseph, until your brain, your thinking goes contrary. Not in tables of stone, but in fleshy tables of the heart. That's within you, your perception of reality. 2 Corinthians 6:16. And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? Now this is what happens when people go after that which is not of God, saying it is of God. And that's where the problems come in. For ye are the temple of the what? You're the well, wait a minute. Which am I a brick? Am I a rock? Am I a stone? How do I make up a temple? Each one of us together, each one of us are like stones, and Jesus being the what? Cornerstone, the first. And we follow suit to have the thoughts, images, priority, value system of God, seen from God's perspective. That makes us a part of the temple. The moment we change our thinking, change our reality, then we fell out of the temple. Got it? I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. That's the most beautiful verse. We don't need a temple. We don't need a statue. All God needs is you. So, how can an entity that fills heaven and earth be living? You ever wonder about that question? You all go sit back and go, how does that work? You ever have that? How could something that fills heaven and earth be living? Well, am I the only one who asks these questions? How does this work? All right. Can a living being exist composed of living and non-living things? Yes or no? Almost everybody goes, no, it can't. It can't be composed of living and non-living things. I beg your pardon. You are composed of living and non-living things. What is a calcium? Calcium is a mineral. It's assembled into a structure to support your body. It's your frame. It's your skull. Your nails. Your hair. The outer limb of your skin. Whenever we're talking about things, we have to see things in full perspective. God fills all heaven and earth. Does that include the planets? The stars? The answer is yes. How about the rock outside? Yep. He's everywhere. Wait a minute, how's that work? All right, look at your own body. Okay. No, I'm saying consider your own body, right? How many living things are in your body? How many living things are there? How many non-living things are there? How many minerals? I mean, you stop and think about how many non-living things are in your body. Minerals, right? How many minerals are in there? Almost the whole spectrum of minerals are in your body. Are they living? No, they're minerals. What are they used for? To construct your body. You understand? All right, so let's continue on. Consider your own existence, right? How many here are alive? Right? You're living, all right? Good. This is a good thing, right? You are composed of 37 trillion cells. Doesn't say 1,000. Doesn't say 1,000,000. Doesn't say 1,000,000. It's not 1,000,000,000. It's 37 million cells. That's a trillion. I missed it. Billion. We got billion. Million is a billion. And a billion is a trillion. And 37 trillion. That's a lot of cells. Now watch this. The composition includes 210 distinct cell types. 210 different cell types. Not 210 cells, cell types. There's the lung cells, right? Skin cells, brain cells, muscle cells, tendons. They all are separate independent cells. And massive deposits of minerals and chemicals that construct your adult human body. You are a mess. Not to mention bacteria that's inside your intestines that are helping your intestines do their job. I think they call it intestinal flora. All right, here's a sample of the cells in your body. These are standard cells. Every human body has these. These are not all 210 because you wouldn't be able to read them if I put them all up there. But these are samples. These are skin, nerve, muscle, intestinal. What else I got in there? Heart. Every different types of cell. Notice they're not the same. They are not the same. Isn't that weird? How do they get along? The fascinating thing about these cells, whether they're intestinal, lung, heart tissue, bone tissue, ligaments, blood cells, that's a blood cell there, nerve cells, like right here. I mean, and the nerve cells are 3 different types. The kind that uses to keep your heart pumping, the other kind that uses to move your muscles, another kind just to think. And they're all 3 distinct types. They're up here, by the way. But isn't this fascinating? Now, what's really, really weird, can you say really, really weird? Okay, just checking. If I take any one of these cells, take them out and put them in a petri dish and give them nourishment, and then if I shine a light on them and then stick them with a needle, just enough to irritate them, right? And then flash the light again and stick it, they'll get to the point, I flash the light and they'll go like that. They learn. They learn. They have an understanding of existence. They have their own concept. You know what I'm saying? They see. They not see, but they I mean, your eyeball cells see, but I'm saying besides that, they have a cognizant ability. Not a lot, but they know. That's a hair cell. See? They're all there. Not all of them, but major ones. All right, 37 what? Trillion. A billion times 37. That's a lot of cells. 210 distinct cell types, of which I got a sampling here. Each individual cell is living. It consumes, produces waste, absorbs oxygen, and releases carbon dioxide. The waste that your body gets rid of comes from the cells, whether it be from your urinary tract or from your intestinal tract. And then finally, when you exhale, it's the waste of the cells. Isn't that interesting? Each cell has limited consciousness, right? It responds, it adapts to situations where it can be conditioned through response to stimuli. You can condition it so it learns, so it has cognizance. Each cell is what? Alive and can live independent, given the right nourishment and environment. So there's a big question here. At this very moment in your body, billions, not trillions, but billions, not millions, not hundreds, not thousands, billions of cells are brought into existence while others are dying or dead. Now, how do you feel about that? Do you recognize their death? Do you really? Yeah, it really has no bearing, does it? All these cells, some are dying, some are living, some are eating, some are sleeping, some are. I mean, this is a. You've got a whole world, a whole universe inside you. Just like God has a whole universe inside of Him. It's made of organic and non-organic, living and non-living. Others are working while others are at what? Rest. My brain cells are always at rest. No, I'm just. All right, you see this. Now, the question that really gets sticky here, the question is, of the 30, now I've added the zero so you can see how many, right? 37 trillion cells, how many are agnostic concerning your existence? How many know that you exist? Of all the cells in your body, how many know that you exist? You understand, they got their own concept. They respond to stimuli. They're alive, they're living, but do they acknowledge you? Do they know you even exist? Do they even care? So would you say all your cells are atheists that you exist, or are they agnostic, which means they could care less? Do you understand? Where everybody existing is a part of God, but not everybody acknowledges He at all. He exists. How many of your cells acknowledge you exist? And yet it doesn't matter. All your body will always do your what? Your will. Whether it likes to or not, whether it responds to or not, it will do your will until it no longer is capable. Does that make sense? So all in this huge protoplasmic mass that you are, with independent cells, with their own design, their own function, their own purpose, they're all inside of you. Living, dying, breathing, eating, sleeping, working. You are a masterpiece. Yet not one of these cells knows that you exist or even cares. How many of the cells in your body know you exist? Two? Zero. That's right. None. Do the brain cells even know you exist? No, they get stimuli and they respond. Isn't that weird? That's why you are created in God's what? Image. What He is, you are in miniature form. And how many that exist recognize that God exists. So I would say you're pretty special. Yes or no? Okay. In this teeming mass of specialized multicellular organic structure, right? In other words, say this, all these cells, 37 trillion cells, and organized deposits of minerals, which is your body. Here's the big one. Where are you? Every single cell is independent. Every single cell is carrying out a function. Every single cell is existing without even knowing you exist. So they're all independent. And if you pull out of the body and put it in nutrient media, right? Nutrient media in a petri cell, it can survive. So it doesn't. So it's independent of you. Yet in you, it does its function. But where are you? You're not in each cell. I'm asking you, where are you in your body? What cell? Yet none of the cells acknowledge your existence. So where are you? You do exist, do you not? If I cut off my arm, am I still here? Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just missing an arm.
Yep.
You understand the problem? I'm still. So it's not the physical thing, it's the thinking. It's the imagery. So where is that at? Where are you in this massive, protoplasmic form? You ever think about it? Am I here? Am I here? No, where am I? Am I in here? Not necessarily. It's the whole body. The whole body. So where am I? I'm not in any one place yet. I'm in all places. Got it? I'm not in any one place. I'm in all the cells, but I'm not in any one cell. Now that sounds like a paradox.
Yeah.
How could I be in every single cell, but not be in any one cell? Don't you ever ask these questions? I do. I'm like, how does that work? So where is you? Where is you? Where are you in your body? Where are you mostly? You ever worry about that one? Because if your little finger is broken, I guarantee you, nothing else matters but that little finger. If you stub your little toe, which actually means absolutely nothing to your body, if you stub that toe, nothing else matters but the little toe. So you're totally aware of your whole body. Sometimes we ignore it, but nonetheless. So where are you? You're everywhere and nowhere. You're in every one of them, and you're not in any of them. You're everywhere. All right? So how far do you move within your body? Well, do you go all the way to the skin? Yeah, you take a bath. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but take a shower, right? You clean your outside of your body. So the effects of your being go outside your body. How many dressed yourself today? No, you dressed yourself, yes? So you chose, how many only have, that's the only clothes you have. Okay, Andres goes, yeah, that's the only clothes I got. All right. You chose the clothes you were going to put on. You understand? So your being not only is in every single cell, yet not any one in particular, it's outside your body and influences beyond. And yet your body is bacterias, intestinal flora, which really isn't really a part of your body, just on there to help out. There are minerals. There are cells, 210 different varieties. You are a masterpiece. And yet everything that you are, so is God. That's why it's called the Spirit of God, the Spirit of man. Like the flame. God is the big flame, and then there's a little flame. Got it? The sun is a big flame. The match is a little flame. Got it? We're the little version of God. Remember I told you about if you had the zygote and you're looking at it? Everything that I am is right there in that little thing. I need a microscope to see. Everything that God, to be a true son of God, to have his thoughts, his images, his priorities, that the beginning of that is that zygote when you were brought into existence. And now look at you. And as you adapt more and more of God's images, God's priorities, his thoughts, the more awesome, beautiful, magnificent you become. A true reflection and God's dwelling place. Yes or no? Notice that when you have weightlifters, right? You know, guys that do lift weights. What do you call those people that lift weights? Bodybuilders, right. They're bodybuilders. They always look at their biceps and go, oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, yeah, right? And they're doing this and they're lifting it because they well, what about the rest of their body? Well, no, the muscles are everything. What about the brain? Forget the brain. They're just going to work on the body. You know, this kind of stuff. Not this kind of stuff. I mean, like this. You know what I'm talking about. They're trying to build the body. They eat the food they eat, the training, the exercise is to build, and they focus on their muscles, their body. You understand? And if anything that were to damage their body, like, oh no, don't touch my body, don't touch that, don't touch the muscle there. Right? What about scientists? What they care about? What cells do they care about? Their brain. Oh my God, don't even give me things that don't help my brain. My brain is everything. You understand? When you have things that help fulfill your will and your identity, that's the most important cells of your body. Yes or no? If you're a runner, you want the blood cells and the glucose, all the cells to work function so you can run faster. You see how this works? So what do you think God's most concerned about? My body. No, that's not it. What is it? My beautiful face. No, that's not it. What is it? Your heart, your soul, and your mind. Now you become precious. Now you become valuable. Just like the biceps to a bodybuilder. Just like the brain to a scientist. Got it? So it's easy to understand. I'm taking very complex concepts and making it as simple as I can. So, all right. If you are present in all of them, but not in each one, and you fill your body and affect the outside of your body and around your body, what are you? What are you? You're not your body. Some of you get inside of a car and control it. Some get in airplanes that control that. How can you control that which is outside of you? And match your will of what you're trying to accomplish. You see that magnitude, complexity, the beauty of it all. Because what you are, not your body, but what you are is what God is. And you are not your body. What you are to your body and beyond, God is to the universe and beyond. There you go. God is what? Living. It's the only way to describe it. God is living. If you're living, then you have an impact on yourself, on external to yourself and your environment. You're not living, you don't have that ability. You're living. And God is a living God. Isn't that awesome? Now, I taught this to a scientist. Frank, I think you just damaged 3 of my brain cells. That's what he said. He's a cool guy. I share this with a lot of doctors and a lot of scientists, and I share it with a couple of archaeologists and even a couple of philosophers. And they're like, you just burned my brain cells. This is something they do not understand. They call it what is consciousness. But that's not it. It's more than consciousness. Because I'm alive even if I'm unconscious, yes? Got a big God. Got a really big God. He is the what? Living God. Last month they found out the galaxies form the same, identical in relationship, ratio, proportions that our neurons do. That's amazing. Look up the human brain and the universe. The way it's formed, the way it's shaped, is exactly where our brain is. That's amazing. That came out last month. So I had to add it. Sorry. That makes sense. This is what it was. This is what it is now. All right. So does that help? So when I say you're God's what?
Yes.
Now you know. Now you know. Of all the people on earth, who is even acknowledging the true living God? You are precious. You are valuable. And then God's going to focus on you to bring His will to pass. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the greatness of your word. I thank you for each person here as they continue to learn, to grow, and to recognize the truth that goes beyond the average understanding. That they can perceive the greatness of you and the greatness of their lives as they join with you in heart and soul and mind. That in all things they may be elevated above every situation, fully equipped to handle every situation, to be at peace in the midst of chaos, and to be your reflection into the world. That seeing them, people may know that you dwell within them and know you. Because, Father, you are the living God, and we are your children. And for all we do and accomplish, it's to your praise and glory, Father, as we walk within your shadow in the footsteps of your firstborn from the dead, our risen and returned Lord Jesus, your anointed. Okay, ready for the question here? Oh, I saw that. I got to do that thing. Okay. Ready? You are God's what?
Best.
Best. Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Mwah, I love you.